Hello all, I'm Sai and you're watching The Book Dragon. In today's video, I'm bringing to you my spoiler-free review of The Kingdom of Pack by Marie Lu. I added this one in my 5-star predictions already, and before getting into the review itself, I want to tell you guys, it obviously is a 5-star book for me. I'm not sure if it is 5-star, it will be a 5-star for everyone out there, but I'm sure that it's a really well-written book, and the story that is set in this one is very unique in many ways if you ask me. It's a historical fantasy in which the history of Mozart's sister is told through a fantastical story. It is very good in many ways. Let's just get into the various parts of the review right now. Starting with the plot of this book, there is no fixed plot for the Kingdom of Pack because we don't have an entire story that is told within the book. We have different pieces that are put together, but the story happens during different years because we follow the two main characters who are Nanel and Ufel from their kids to their later teens, and it is really well written in many ways if you ask me. It's specifically written in the later half of the 1700s, and that's one of the main things which has added a lot more flavor to this book if you ask me in many ways. Apart from this, the thing which often happens in this one is that the two main characters falling ill. It might sound like a very boring premise while I tell it in such a way in the plot, but I should say that those are the things which add on the different layers of this book, and when you read it one by one, you'll be able to peel back all those layers and experience the story as a whole. Apart from all these things, there is also this fantastical alternate land called the Kingdom of Pack that is developed by the imagination of the siblings itself, and what happens in the Kingdom of Pack is told parallelly to us during many instances throughout the book. It's not just the story happens in the real world alone. A major portion of the story also happens in the Kingdom of Pack, which is fantastical in many ways if you ask me. It's a bit dark also at multiple places, but I should say that this is very well written to be a historical fantasy. Even if you like magical realism, I'm sure that you will like the Kingdom of Pack because it has many elements of magical realism, if I'm not wrong, because I was able to see the parallel world as well as the actual world woven together in a proper way by the author, and the plot in that way did not suffer much if you ask me. Moving on to the characters, we have two main characters who are siblings, that are Marianne Mozart, who's addressed as Nanel, and Wolfgang Mozart, who's addressed as Ufel. Okay, of these, Ufel is the younger one, and Nanel is his elder sister. These two people are the ones who move the story throughout, especially Nanel. This is a book for Nanel alone, and not that much focus is put into Ufel. How the focus from Nanel is always grabbed by Ufel in an unintentional way is also shown during multiple instances of this book, which I just loved a lot. Apart from these two characters, we also have the parents, Mozart parents, who also play very good roles throughout the story. Okay, it is very much pictures of how the parents used to grow and treat their children during that period in the European countries. It was very well portrayed if you ask me in many ways. Apart from these four characters, another one who is very much important throughout the story is this Fey prince called Hyacinth, who is the prince of the Kingdom of Pack, and these children, they are trying to help him. The Kingdom of Pack actually is just a place that they've developed due to their imagination itself, both Ufel and Nanel together, but a major portion of the Kingdom of Pack has been developed due to the imagination of Nanel, and she's the one who visits the place very often. Ufel also visits it with her, but Nanel is the one who visits the place often, and that starts to build a relationship between Nanel and the Fey prince, who's Hyacinth. It's not that great if you ask me. The relationships and characters are not that much of a focus if you ask me in this one. The atmosphere and the way in which the story is told is very excellent, and I should say that for being the main characters, Ufel and Nanel did play many pivotal roles, and also the maturity of Nanel for her age was very well presented to us in the through the writing of Marie Lu, and I also think that she, being an elder sibling, was portrayed as such by the author, and it was not shown like she was not brought down in age mentally in any way. She was shown as an adult or how an elder sibling will treat a younger sibling, and how an elder sibling will take care of a younger sibling. All those things were shown very well in this one, and that's one of the main pluses for the characterizations in this book. Moving on to the world building, which is one aspect which I concentrate a lot while I read fantasy books, and I think this was my first historical fantasy, and I just love the world building that Marie Lu did in this one, because it's not just a historical fantasy, but it's also kind of an urban fantasy, because we do get an fantastical world which is not part of our real world, and we also get glances of our real world from the past. The major portion of the whole portion of the story actually takes place in the second half of the 1700s, mainly in Austria and also in some other places also, but most of the story takes place in Austria itself. And the weather of Austria, how the people used to dress during that time, the type of food that they used to eat, the type of clothes that they used to wear, the way in which they speak to each other, even in the English, how the people used to address each other with different salutations. It was all shown very well by Marie Lu in this one. It didn't feel like I was reading something which was forced into it. It just felt like it was sliding into her writing in a proper way, and she just presented it in the perfect way in many instances. Also, talking about the Kingdom of Back, that is the actual fantastical land inside the story. The world building in that one was also very atmospheric in many instances. Every time the story shifted from the real world to the fantastical world, it didn't feel like uncomfortable at all. I just was able to slip in from the real world to the fantastical world each and every time the transition happened, because there is this particular thing that she always uses as a transition from the actual world to the fantastical world, which is the floor gets covered with some moss. And I was able to understand why she was using that, because during many instances we cannot just shift from this reality and get into a world just like that, because it will affect the pacing as well as the continuity of the book in many ways. I think that the world building aspect in that one was very intellectually used by Marie Lu, because it didn't feel like an abrupt shift from the reality to a fantastical land in any place at all. It just glided through very smoothly. Talking about the writing of this book, I should say that of all the different aspects that I consider in my reviews, the writing was the thing which I loved the most in this one, because it felt so subtly sweet in many ways. It is a bittersweet story, yet the sweetness in this one was a bit higher than the bitterness, which made it very ethereal in many ways, if you ask me. The way in which she describes stuff, okay, starting from the people, the tone and complexion of the people, how they look, how their eyes look, and how the things around them look, all these descriptions, she has put them in the exact amount, okay. It's not more, it's not less. It's not less like you're not able to or see or look how this world is, or it's not way too much like stop describing and just go on with the story. It's not at all like that. For the 300 pages that the story is, the amount of description as well as the build up for the world is perfect through her writing. Also, apart from all these things, it's very lyrical in many ways, okay. I'll not say that it's lyrical, it's a bit poetic, because each and every time you read it from Nanul's point of view, different people can understand what she's feeling and trying to articulate with us in a very different way, okay. I was able to see most of the things only from a straightforward point of view, that is what she was trying to say. But I'm sure that this is one book which has a lot of reread value, because the writing is in such a way that each and every time you read it, you can understand certain dialogues from the characters in different ways. I didn't have that much patience to put on different tones or the different modulations in which the dialogue can be spoken and made it sound in a different way. I did not try all those things while reading it for the first time, but I do think that if I reread the book again, I can definitely understand certain things in different ways. It might not be the exact way in which the author intended it to be understood, but I do think that the understanding through the dialogues in this one was very top-notch in many ways, because I'm sure that every reader who reads this can differently interpreted in many ways. Finally, talking about the pacing of this book, it doesn't have the excellent pacing, okay. It is very slow paced. So if you're a person who likes only fast paced books, I'm sorry, this is definitely not a book for you, because it's totally slow paced from beginning to end. I should say that though it is slow, it is consistent throughout, okay. It doesn't fluctuate in pace anywhere. Even when things start to happen and there are like high stakes that we see happening, the story doesn't move at a faster pace. It's always slow and gliding in every way, if you ask me. Just imagine butter just melting through a hot pan. It's that smooth and it is that slow, okay. I should say that that slowness of the pace was one of those things which made me understand the world of the Kingdom of Back, because this world cannot be something which you can just read once and read once at a very high speed. You cannot speed read and understand and see the beauty of the Kingdom of Back, if you ask me. You'll have to take your time and read it slowly in order to understand the beauty of the story. That's the only lack, I think, which many people will face, because it doesn't have a huge story or anything. It's just two siblings who who compose a lot of music, and they go and perform in different places, due to which they get sick a lot. Okay, it's just these two people moving to different places with their parents and getting sick a lot. That's the main part of the book, but the originality is not that much important in this one. The fantastic element of the book carries it to a very different level and places it at a different ramp. Also, the misogyny that was exposed in this one, it was really good. The misogyny that was practiced in those days. Okay, even now there is misogyny in many fields, but I do think that it was very well showed in this one from the past. And the main character Nanul just made her point through her mind voices and dialogues in a proper way, if you ask me. And it is a slow paced book, but it's a really good read, if you ask me, and that's one of the main reasons why I rated it 5 stars, as I told before. And yeah, that's it for today. If you did enjoy watching today's video, and if you did find this video useful, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and also share it to your friends. If you want to get more content from me, do subscribe to the channel, because I publish new videos every Sunday, Tuesday, Thursday and Saturday. Thanks for watching and have a great rest of your day.